My name's Paul Mergard and I've been involved with Red Frogs right from 2001. It was the very first Schoolies Week on the Gold Coast that I ever did. Those were the days where things were pretty wild on the Gold Coast. They were the days of the gangs and the knives and it was out of control. After that first year at Frogs, I took on a leadership role on the Gold Coast. After a number of years, I did the very first year ever of Red Frogs South Africa, where we went and hunted out a whole heap of areas in South Africa. And then Andy gave me the call up to go and start Red Frogs in Bali. And so that was back in 2012, and that was a whole other experience that left the Gold Coast in its dust. The level of predators that we saw, the level of older guys that were out there looking for younger girls, it was absolutely out of control. And so then that led into running Bali for 5 years and really getting that established. I think the thing about Bali that always blew me away was in Australia we have so many safeguards. In Bali, most of those safeguards never existed. I remember on the very first night that we ever did proper operations in Bali, we got a phone call through to the number that we had, and we found a girl that was passed out. And I jumped on the phone to the hospital to say, we've got a schoolie that's passed out, could they send the ambulance? And the lady on the other end of the phone said to me, put her on the motorbike and get her to the hospital. And I'm talking to her on the phone thinking, you don't understand me, there's a language barrier here. I'm like, no, she's unconscious, I need the ambulance. And the lady kept responding to me, yes, we hear you, put her on a motorbike and get her to the hospital. And I suddenly realised that I wasn't on the Gold Coast anymore. We didn't have all those support services that we expected. And I think what most Aussie parents would expect their kids to have when they go to somewhere like Bali. And so we ended up having to develop a whole heap of systems and triage stuff to work out, well, what do we do when we've got someone that's unconscious, needs an ambulance, and the only option is to get them on a motorbike to get them to hospital. That was absolutely next level. A few years ago when Red Frogs put out the call for Friends of the Frog, we jumped at it because I just know that for an organisation like Red Frogs to have stable fundraising during the year, stable income, Friends of the Frogs is a brilliant way to do that. I love that I know that when my kids get to schoolies, that they've got some friends that'll be hanging around them that will help them manage that transition. And then when they get to uni and parties and all that sort of stuff, I'm just stoked that we've got someone like Red Frogs around to help in that. And we want to be part of that. We want to still be part of the solution. I think it's brilliant that we actually get to make a difference in people's lives through something as simple as a red frog and a whole heap of love and a whole heap of care and support, cooking some pancakes and building relationships with people. And so we want to see that keep going. The reality for me is though, I have sat with kids as they had a choice between life and death. I stood with a girl in Bali that was dealing with methanol poisoning, and if we hadn't have been there, she wouldn't be here today. And I think one of the best things you can do by becoming a friend of the frog is you're enabling the work of Red Frogs to go forward. You're enabling future generations to receive the services that Red Frogs provide. And so become a friend of the frog. It's just a way for you to be the solution to the problem that's out there. We can all do something if we join together.